Way forward. Creators of many things, but the thing everyone always knows them for is their girl, Shantae, which is what we're playing. The original, mind you. We are playing the original release on the Nintendo Switch.
I was gonna say they know limited run.
I was gonna say, you are lying, sir. This isn't the original release. This is the re-release.
Yeah, double lie. I'm playing the GBA Enhanced version, which is technically the original cartridge just plugged into Game Boy Advance.
So this is the re-release.
Yeah, so I should mention, this game has kind of been in a very weird limbo in terms of the used market for years, but it's finally an accessible way now. Like, you play this game on both the Nintendo Switch and then the PlayStation systems, because the PS4 and PS5 versions of this game just released this year. So now I recommend people, if they're going to play the original Shantae, you play the modern release, because you have all the luxuries of a modern game release nowadays. Save states, you can play the GBA Enhanced version to unlock the extra transformation. You got a whole slew of art in the game. It's very easy to pick up and play. And now I'm going to lead this up by saying, if you're going to want to try the series, do not start the first game, please. Don't. It's aged pretty poorly.
So you basically just...
So don't watch this video then.
Yeah, you just basically just turned off all the viewers of this video saying, please do not play this game. I'm not playing. Please do not play this game.
It's not that this is a bad game. It's just it has the same issue a lot of these older games have by today's standard. There's a lot of things that the future games just do so much better. The original game is a very good game on its own merits, but nowadays you want to start with this game's sequel and above, like Risky's Revenge onwards. Because the original game, it does set up for so many things, but it's a game you don't need to play if you want to just try the other games. I recommend it for people really getting into the series. I played this as my third Shantae. I didn't play it until after I beat both Risky's Revenge and Pirate's Curse.
My first one was Pirate's Curse.
I never played.
The series is a lot of fun. It is a Metroidvania-styled game. So you're going to be exploring this whole world, and you can kind of just do whatever in a lot of ways. Explore dungeons, kind of like a Zelda game, get power-ups. It's very expansive, and for a Game Boy Color game, this is a really good-looking game. It also really does push the system to its limits, but not in a way where it makes the system cry to its knees. It's a really good game with no major technical flaws to it. It's honestly very impressive. They released something like this at the time. Unfortunately, though, WayForward did get kind of screwed over at the release time period, though, because guess what came out right around this time period? Game Boy Advance, and everyone moved on to the GBA.
It's like, who wants to play that Game Boy Color? I mean, seriously. You gotta
I still did. I was one of those kids that still played Pokemon on the original Game Boy Color at that point.
You got the fancy 32-bit system, and got all the fancy new games on it, and you wanted to palm your hands, and it's shaped like a cylinder.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, at least the big delay this game got, because this was going to come out earlier on, but unfortunately, WayForward needed a special chip to put in the cartridge, which cost them a lot more than just producing a normal Game Boy Color game. So they needed to find someone that can help fund it, and this game was published by Capcom originally, so that's what took so much longer, and by the time it was getting ready to come out, the Game Boy Advance was starting to make the rounds, and the developers saw that, like, hey, that looks cool. Maybe we can make our game look a little bit better on that. So this is one of the very few games that have Game Boy Advance enhancements to it. So the color palette's ever so slightly different to make up for the GBA's lack of a backlight and just the more contrasty look that the system has. And then it also adds an exclusive transformation that you need to be playing on a Game Boy Advance for. Hence why we're playing the GBA Enhanced mode, so we can actually get that transformation. This modern release, if you play the Game Boy Color mode and the Game Boy Advance modes back to back, you're gonna notice your saves aren't the same, because in the game emulator, these are kind of separate ROMs, so your saves can't go back and forth, unfortunately. You want to play one version fully through, and I recommend just play the GBA version. Even though I think, personally, it looks worse because of the whole contrast makeup thing for the Game Boy Advance. Nowadays, on a backlit screen, early GBA games don't really look that great color-wise now. A little washed out.
I mean, this looks fine for a game that's this old, though.
Yeah.
very purple at the moment, though.
Yeah, not the best time to mention. It's a little more washed out looking with just one solid color.
I like it. I think it looks fine.
It's a purple, even though purple's like my favorite color.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. I mean, it's a Game Boy game. You're not gonna expect the best graphics out of it, anyways.
Yeah, when I first played this game, though, I did actually play it on the 3DS Virtual Console, and that was the original Game Boy Color version of it. So when I got to play this one, a few years later, I realized, oh yeah, so Shantae doesn't look anywhere near how she does in any other game.
Man, you rushing through all that text. I don't even read half of it.
Don't worry, there's not very much you gotta worry about here, because it's just gonna be the same old story for literally every game, so at this point, if you played this after other games, you're like, okay, I already know Risky shtick, but the thing is here, Risky Boots, this is our main villain of this game. She wants to take over Scuttle Town because she just kind of rules over all the land, and we're just here to stop her. We're trying to get back a thing called the Steam Machine, since it was taken from Mimic. He's called Mimic, specifically. If you played the other games, notice how I'm missing a specific word in there. At this time, he's just kind of like more of a friend to Shantae, but later on, he becomes more family. He's known as Uncle Mimic going forward. In this game, Shantae is kind of trying to find herself in some ways, because she is this town's guardian genie, but she's not a real, like, full-blooded genie. She's a half genie. So there's some self-doubt here if she can actually do the job or not. So in this game, she's kind of trying to find herself as well.
You know, when you were talking about the guy's name being Mimic, I was expecting Matthew to make the joke. You don't get it, do you?
No, I don't get it. I'm sorry.
I thought you were gonna joke like, is he called Mimic because he mimics people?
He mimics people?
Oh, I see. You're the real faker around here.
Apparently.
How did you screw up so bad?
Shantae, did you get my Steam Machine? Oh, I hate to inform you, Mimic, but those were discontinued years ago.
No!
They didn't go anywhere, but they made the Steam Deck instead. Oh, okay, I'm fine with this. And that's how the game just ends. He just gets a Steam Deck.
Steam Deck's better anyways.
Now, the real thing about this contraption is that the Steam Machine is supposed to be this thing that can power anything, really. It's important. Like, honestly, it's just modern-day electricity when you really break it down. So this is a really important thing and a really big discovery. Unfortunately, is now in the hands of a bad guy. It can't be used, though, on its own. There needs to be these 4 stones that Risky needs to collect in order to use it. So, thankfully, we have some time before she starts using this thing and takes over the whole land. So we gotta get those stones first.
Warp squids.
Lost your babies? How do you do that? You're a terrible mother. I guess that's the thing we gotta look out for. Children.
Hey, at least it's not Mother Mai from Link Between Worlds losing 100 of them.
Yeah, debatable. Debatable. We will get to that when we actually get the warp squids.
Oh gosh.
So we're, at this point, just kind of looking around town. You got a couple different things here. Item shop, save area. You got a hot spring, warp squid hut. So there's a lot of different things here. As you can see, the prices on a lot of this stuff is a little expensive for our blood. We only have 18 gems. Can't really buy anything right now. Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to go get money.
Gonna have to go get a job.
Ah, man. Well, hopefully someone's hiring the night shift. A little busy during the day, don't you know? So here's the hot spring. Step in the water, and then you'll heal up to full. Simple to that. Just a free heal.
Just stepping in it?
Yeah. Hey, think of it like the hot springs in like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. It's kind of the same idea. Except this game did it like 20 years before that.
It innovated.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much all we can do in here for now. There's one other thing that we can interact with in Scuttle Town, but it's unavailable during the day. So to kind of hint at that, this game actually does have a day-night cycle, which is the only game in the entire Shantae series that actually have a day-night cycle. The closest we've gotten to that coming back was the ending portion of Pirate's Curse, because the ending portion just is nighttime permanently. So, it's kind of weird how they ditched it, but also in a way, I'm kind of glad they did, and we'll get into what's different at night when it happens.
Can I say you killing an enemy like that is kind of morbid because you can actually see their skulls?
Yeah, the game can get dark at times. You're also not supposed to be able to get that heart container right away. That's essentially what these things are from Zelda when you really think about it. But you're supposed to come back here with an item called Vanishing Cream, because then that door can't see you. But you can just run through it if you're fast enough, so save the money.
So this game is basically Simon's Quest from Castlevania. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest.
I mean, give it a couple minutes, and you'll be right on that one, even to the T.
Oh, it'll come up with a text box interrupting gameplay.
Thankfully, no. That's like the one thing it doesn't do.
Change over to nighttime, then you can play again.
Who thought that was a good idea?
All in a 10-second time frame. 10 seconds lost.
Thankfully, we don't have that text boxes. Man, every time. Yeah, that... I don't know who thought having a text box for the constant transition was that smart. I think the devs looked at that for this game. It's like, we want to do something similar, but we're not going to do the text box thing, because we respect your time. This is on a portable, after all.
Can you imagine, like, trying to speedrun Simon's Quest? It's just like,
Hey, people do it.
Not saying that, you know, honestly, like, I give a lot of crap to Simon's Quest, but it's really not that bad of a game. It's not hard, it's just very, very grindy and cryptic, just like all NES games were back in the day.
Yeah, like any kind of early game.
Yeah.
In like the earlier days of this stuff were just very cryptic.
Just because something's cryptic doesn't mean it's bad. Like, it might be bad design, but...
most gamers want a word with you on that.
Okay, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
Maybe I should rephrase that, because
Yeah, you
honest
might
to God,
wanna.
like, I just now think about it, I'm just like, I'm just actually sitting here defending Simon's Quest when all the villagers lie to you for what to do in the game. That's not good design. Yeah, never mind. I'm gonna completely just take back what I said.
There's a reason why people recommend, if you play Simon's Quest nowadays, don't play a ROM hack version that just fixes all the major problems that game has. It's like, here, play it how it was supposed to be.
Hey, Konami, I got an idea for you after you're done with Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. Right here.
What, remake Shantae? Man, that's some really big shoes to follow. That's not even their IP.
No! Remake Simon's Quest.
Remake Simon's Quest and fix the game.
Yeah, hey, going back to those original games to fix things, I'd be perfectly fine with that. Those Castlevania games have unfortunately aged pretty badly as well, and they can use some modern touch-ups besides just the port job. So now it's night. We're gonna take a night shift. We're gonna dance. So you can only access the dance parlor at night. If you come in here beforehand, then you're just told to come back later when it is nighttime. There are multiple ranks for this, and we're gonna play every single one of them. Do you like Dance Dance Revolution? That's all this is. Dancing.
Well, this seems simple.
This is why I don't recommend playing E rank. It's also extremely slow, but extremely easy if you want to get a perfect. It's just not really worth it, because you'll notice at the end of this you get paid based on how well you do, and if you get a perfect, you get a bonus. So you can get a lot of money playing this dancing game. Just some of the earlier difficulties are not the biggest payout, so if you can get better at something like B or even A rank, then you want to play those modes, because you get a lot more gems for your time.
Yay, money.
Keep in mind, you also have to pay to dance every time, too, so I'm paying to work for you.
Man, what kind of job is this?
For real.
I don't get paid to come to work. I just come to work, and then I get paid.
I'm literally relying on the tips, because people are throwing money at me as I dance. I don't know if they are paying me, I'm just taking people's tips.
So what happens if you mess up? They just start throwing something else at you?
Imagine. Thankfully, nothing really happens, but you can fail it too many times, because you do have a set amount of gems you're supposed to earn for the game, and it's whatever you pay into it. So you fail too much, you just won't get anything out of it. Which is bad, obviously you're wasting your time and your money. If you fail, you just get a little like sound that tells you you hit the wrong button. But imagine if you fail too many times, and that's when they just get the stick out and just yank you off stage.
Get out of here.
The Looney Tunes, yeah.
From an old comedy movie. Yeah, it's like a Looney Tunes stick.
Yeah. I'm sure the crowd's like, she's back again? We just saw her.
I will say for the modern releases here, another reason why I'll recommend people just play this on like the Switch or like the PS4 or PS5. They actually do change these button prompts based on the controller you're playing with, so that A button's actually A. When I was playing this on the 3DS, that was the Virtual Console release, they did not do that, so A was B and B was Y. So this game is a little bit harder to keep up with.
Why? Why do that?
Yeah, the Virtual Console games never changed the button layout based on your controller, they were just emulation machines, that was it. They didn't do anything to the core game. Which is why, when you played this game on the 3DS specifically, you were playing like a watered-down version, because you couldn't access the Game Boy Advance mode at all. Because it only emulated the game as a Game Boy Color game. So, if you wanted that exclusive transformation, no, you can't do that. Unless you use debug mode. That's the only way to get it.
Okay, be honest. How long did it take you to perfect all these?
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, he's being honest.
The higher rankings, as you can see, they get really fast. The game starts struggling reading your inputs when it gets this fast. I think it took me over an hour just to do one of these. It was probably the last one, if I remember correctly. So, I should also mention that the Switch/PlayStation versions, they allow you 4 save states. Use them to your heart's content. Because this game doesn't have the best saving system, but for a minigame like this, it's a godsend.
Gosh, can you imagine doing this on the original hardware?
Yeah, it's a lot. Because you thought that last one was bad? Watch rank A.
Oh my god!
Now you can see why it took me over an hour.
Oh my gosh.
How?
You literally can't read the buttons. They just go too fast. But if you can perfect this, you get the biggest payout. So if you can do this one reliably, 1, can I meet you? And then 2, you get a lot of gems.
Do you get a special thing for clearing all of them?
You get a bonus. If you get a perfect, you do get a bonus set of gems. It even tells you. But for perfecting that, you get 132. Which is a lot. You can carry 999 gems at most, so it's really helpful. So I'm gonna just do this until I get max gems.
Of course you are.
Alright, let's dance up for money.
I love this meme.
Okay, I think things now are getting awkward. I feel like he's staring into my soul now. If I don't tip, I won't dance anymore.
Beat rank meme.
So if you want to actually grind this out for money, I'll recommend rank C or B, depending on your skill level, but rank B is probably the most reliable one. It is fast, but it's not too fast like rank A, and it does pay out a lot. If you don't perfect it, but you still get enough to win, you still get a lot of gems. Probably take you about 15-20 minutes. This is one of like 2 good ways in the games to grind out money. There's another minigame later that's an even better way of grinding it out, especially with modern day emulation, having save states.
You just buying a lot of health items, I see.
Yeah, it helps to have these things on standby, because there's a lot of problems at times in the game where you run into enemies and you just keep on getting attacked constantly, because it doesn't, like, this game doesn't really have iframes. Like, you do have a little bit of, like, time before you take another hit, but not much. So, you'll take a lot of damage early on, especially right now we only have, like, 3 hearts to start, and then, like, now we have the extra one. 4 at most. We'll get another one hopefully soon enough. For now, we're just buying a bunch of things. Vanishing Cream here. That'll help us get through like hordes of enemies too, because it makes you invulnerable. Not just invisible, invulnerable too, so it's an invincibility.
Nice.
Got like a puff cloud of storm that will help us for a puzzle later. Pike balls, really good for damaging enemies, as it is just like this ball that circles you, which does a lot. So a lot of useful items, which is gonna be good, because now we're gonna head out of Scuttle Town and go to our next location. Maybe actually catch Risky. Who knows?